let's say if the CEO is going to fire somebody, the minute you show that person who is in the weak position, camera goes up. If you see all of the torture scene, any of the torture scene in a police station or gangster, look at Godfather. I mean, all of these, the Godfather angle or almost always low angle shot, because that's where the power is concentrated. You want to show that power, but how do you translate technical things in lighting? Backlit has a certain effect. We can redo this room completely,
Yeah.
just doing the lighting,
Yep.
nothing else, and suddenly people will perceive you differently.
Yeah.
They'll say, "Oh, I think I've never met Jason, but he sounds like a very strict man." Or somebody might say, "Oh, he really is very cool, happy guy."
Yeah.
Same thing. You're the same person. You're not changing your dialogue. You're not changing your personality. It's just the play of the lighting. So I think it's all technical, but it communicates. Technical decisions communicate emotions, feelings, anger, anxiety. It all comes from that, and that I think is a very powerful thing about filmmaking.
So filmmaking is a relatively new industry, right?
Mhm.
Has anything like changed recently? Filmmaking or filmmaking pace has been the same thing since the beginning of filmmaking.
Well, I think a lot of things are changing in filmmaking. One of the things is that the industry has really opened up. So back in the day, it would be very hard to make a film unless you have established studio and big actors. One of the things that has changed is the 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 stories. If you have a good story, you should make a film. And a good story is a story that people connect with. And the other thing that has happened is that the old way of filmmaking was, oh, I have to make a film, then I have to release on a big platform, and millions of people have to watch. If you have 500 people who can watch your film several times, if you have an audience of 2,000 people, make a film. You can make money, and they will watch it over and over, and they will then recommend it to other people. So we have, in some ways, and I think the credit goes to, again, social technology, social media. It's so much easier for me to connect with people like me. If I see a film and I like it, I'm going to send it very quickly in a matter of minutes to about 200 of my friends, and who I know will also like the film. So that tribe of like-mindedness are very organized because of technology, which was not the case back in the day. You may have loved my film, but you were not connected to 200 other
Yeah.
people who you knew would also like it, so you were not able to recommend it. So references, recommendation has become easy, which means that we can make very low budget film with good stories and still make it financially viable.
Other podcasts, a lot of times I tell people, hey, you should come to the podcast. Like, no, I'm boring, I have nothing to tell. I was like, dude, everyone has a story to tell, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has a story to tell. You might not think you do, but everyone has some kind of story to tell. Everyone has led some type of interest in life.
Yeah. I think the definition of story has also evolved a lot. I mean, back in the day, you had to be super dramatic, something great had to happen, and something bad, like really superlative. But that's not the case anymore. I think I totally agree with you. We all have some stories, and stories stick with us. As one of the poets said, uh, stories are the stories are the most important currencies of our time. Right?
So one thing I've always wanted to do, but I'm scared too. I've always like wanted to get some random homeless person in the neighborhood. I bring up, like how does this happen to you? Like what decisions you make, right? But I'm so scared, like my window here's glass. There's glass outside. I'm just scared that they'll come in and the next couple of days they'll come break in and steal my stuff, right? It's probably not a rational thought, but yeah, I can't afford that. But I would love to get some random, random dude off the street. Hey, like how did you come to this situation, right?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a very, very good story to tell. But yeah,
That'll be a great story, and I think there have been a lot of stories on homeless people, that stories that have humanized the grit and resilience that homeless people anywhere in the world are not a homogeneous population.
Yeah.
That's one of the mistakes that people make. And you and I make that. We're homeless people. There is no such thing as homeless people. There are all kinds of homeless people.
Yeah.
I have met homeless people who have become homeless only in the last 2 months. All their life they had a house of their own.
Yeah.
They had a family. They had children who went to college. They went to college, and something unfortunate happened.
Yeah.
They lost a partner who was the primary breadwinner, and they had some health issues, and they didn't have a health insurance, and all of their money just got spent on their health issue. So also a homeless person who is 70-year-old on a wheelchair is very different from a 20-year-old homeless person who is on drugs and who had some
big
violent
difference.
or mental
And they
health
both need
issues.
different solutions.
There are different solutions, and there are different level of engagement with them, and therefore, people who are listening, I mean, my homelessness is as an issue, as a problem, is very close to my heart. It breaks my heart partly because I grew up in India where homeless people were not dangerous. They were not perceived as dangerous or harmful. Even today, I can go to India in the middle of the night. I can go to the streets and just sit with some of the homeless people, and I have no fear. They don't hurt. US is more complicated because homelessness is also often associated with having a firearm, having mental health issues, being violent. You're combining a lot of bad things together, and I totally understand. But I think I wish I could do something to remove the stigma around homelessness. Homeless people are very diverse, like all of us are. There are men who murder, there are women who steal. We are very diverse. You have to know who are you talking with. So in the same way, when we talk of homelessness, we have to know who you're talking with. Don't stigmatize homelessness. Don't just paint everybody in the same. There are some amazing, decent, hardworking people who wants to contribute to the community, and they have great stories. And they're just wonderful people. They have amazing stories. They're intellectually very stimulating. But because there is this blanket characterization of, oh, homeless people are dangerous, they're going to break into your house, they'll steal you, they'll hurt you, they'll shoot you. That takes away so much from. It takes away so much humanity from us. Somebody could have been your great friend. Somebody you could have helped within your means. You could have made one or two introductions to that, and that person's life would have changed. You didn't do it because you were sold this idea that this is a dangerous person, and he was not, or she was not. So yeah, I totally agree with you. It's not easy to dig those stories, especially in this environment where things are so
next,
easily stigmatized.
Talk about your role with a company called Tasveer. It was the only Oscar qualifying South Asian film festival in the world.
Yeah, I'm happy. Right here, we're in the city now, and Tasveer is a film festival. It's a South Asian film festival. It is the only Oscar qualifying South Asian film festival in the world. So the short film that win at film festivals or Tasveer Film Festival automatically gets qualified for Oscar. So they don't have to separately apply, and they can just get picked up by Oscars. Tasveer has also actually just won the Mayor's Award in Seattle.
Yeah, I saw that. You did. I think you reposted something on LinkedIn earlier. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
posted it several times.
Yeah.
I'm actually going. Tasveer is also Tasveer is a non-profit. It's a 501c3. It's a film festival. It's engaged in raising and amplifying the South Asian voices in our city and in this part of the world and across the world. Tasveer has also just bought Arc Lodge Cinema in Columbia City. So it has its own home now, and it has 4 theaters. I'm on the board, and as a board, we are working to transform that space into our home. So we will be there now as a non-profit, will be housed there. But it has 4 theaters. We want to use one theater for showing South Asian film. We want to use the other theater to show other kind of film, other cultures. I'm also on the outreach committee, so we want to open up the doors of our space. It's a precious, wonderful space. Very diverse community. Columbia City, where the cinema is located, I am told it's one of the most diverse zip codes in the country. About 33 languages are taught at the public school system there. So we want to leverage all of this. We want to open the doors to the local non-profit. People like you should come and hang out with us and do some event with us. I would love our local schools to come and invite their schools to come and do some event. I would love our non-profits that are focusing on social justice and homelessness, and find some ways so that we tell stories in a way that has an impact in the local community, and we are able to solve some of these problems.
So this is probably an ignorant question, right? But of course we have Hollywood here. India has Bollywood. Why do you think India got Bollywood? How come Bollywood isn't like like France or England? Or why do you think India has a culture like bringing like a Bollywood to India?
Well, it's very interesting. The idea of Bollywood is very popular because Bollywood is the largest producer of films in the world. India overall produces more films than US and Canada combined. Just the sheer amount of production is mind-boggling. But India has a long history of storytelling, and if you remove the cinema, if you remove the film industry, the word industry is very interesting. Industry is a very commercial word. Um, if you take away all of that industry part away from India, India has a robust storytelling. My mom used to tell me stories all the time. When I was a kid, when I was in middle school, I would play in the park, and random people will come and just start telling things about the city, and we would listen. We'll ask questions, just like storytelling. It was very core part of it. Then we have this idea. There's a long tradition. One of my friends in India, he's reviving this art called Dastan Goi. Dastan means story. Goi is the art of telling story. Then we have these religious texts which are performed. So Ramayana, Mahabharata. These are religious texts. These are people who are religious. They actually believe this text as their truth, and a lot of their religious um, rituals are coming from this book. But also, if you look at these texts and see how much they are performed, so Ram Leela is performed. They're the characters of Ram and Lakshman, and we perform them. Similarly, we burn every year. Dashera is celebrated as a way to show the triumph of good over evil, and we burn the effigy of this bad guy called Ravan. It's very performative. It's a lot of performance there, and I think that's where the stories come from. And because it is very collective culture, people are together all the time. And to your question of why do we need entertainment, because life is just very painful without entertainment and stories. I mean, can you imagine? You have lots of people and nobody's getting entertained. We'll become more violent. We'll become more selfish. We'll move away from each other. And that, I think, partly is being explained by many of the philosophers and writers in the US. One of my favorite is Robert Putnam. He wrote a book in the early 2000s called Bowling Alone, where he argued that American democracy is not possible if Americans don't hang out together. And he interviewed 500,000 people, one of the largest set of interviews ever for a book. And the book has now been converted into a documentary on Netflix. It's called Join or Die. And the basic argument is that, and it's very interesting that he connected human relations, American human relation, with American idea of democracy. He could have left that out, but he said, no. American democracy cannot exist without